to the Power Hour. Today is July 23, and I'm going to take a sip of my freshly brewed coffee just to give me a little kickstart here. So today I warmly welcome boot campers. Glad you're here. At the last minute, I opened it up for guests. So if you are a visitor here, if you're not a member of Group Sales Bootcamp, if you saw my post in our Facebook group called the Group Sales Success Summit, if you saw the post, you took advantage to come in here and be my guest, just let me know. Let your fingers do the talking here and let me know that you're here, just hanging out. I appreciate it. If this is your first time here, it's really simple how this works. I do have a slide I'm going to show, but typically I don't. You just get to see this the whole time. And it's your agenda. You know, my boot campers tell me, we talk about challenges, victories, opportunities, and I've already printed out, I have a whole list of notes here that have been sent in advance. But if you have something to share, something to ask, go ahead and type it out. The other opportunity is if you're bold enough, would you turn on your microphone? So if you want me to turn on your microphone, if you have something to say, to share, to ask, please let me know. I'll let you know when I'm going to unmute you, and then we can hear your beautiful, magnificent voice. And you know what's great about Power Hour is that, you know, I don't know what's coming. I don't know what you guys and gals are going to type. I do have some questions and some stuff I'm going to mention that were sent in prior, but it's also about best practices. So that, friends, if we're talking about a subject and an idea pops into your head, if you're already practicing something unique to find success, or you've had a failure, share it with us, because that's part of this here. It's about sharing success. So let me start off with this slide, because a couple of weekends ago, we have in Memphis, it's called the Levitt Shell. They have 50 free concerts a year. And if you follow me on my personal Facebook page, whenever I have a date night with my wife, Kimberly, I almost always do a post from there, because it's so awesome, and we get there super early and we set up a blanket and we bring a bottle of wine or some other libation. Sometimes we bring food, and more often than not, I like to support our local businesses, and I like to get food from the food truck. So I'm going to do something here. I'm going to share something. I'm going to show my screen. Bear with me, kids. Bear with me. Hopefully you can see the slide. Hopefully you can see that slide. Do you see the slide? Let me know. And I know everyone is typing in here. I'm going to come back. So Dorothy, thanks. You can see it. Well, there I am, and that's Mike. Mike owns this food truck. Now, the name of the food truck is a tongue twister, Stanley's Sweet Street Treats. And he was featured on Andrew Zimmern's show, The Big Food Truck Tip, with Andrew Zimmern. I don't know if you ever watched that show, but he came in like second, okay? But so you can see he's got a picture there. Yeah, I love what this guy has done. I love his marketing. The truck is remarkable. It is bright. It is cheery. Good luck pronouncing the name of the truck, Stanley's Sweet Street Treats. It's a tongue twister, and on the side of the truck, if you can see it, you see it says there. Do you see it? Go ahead, say it. Try it. Try it. She sits in her slip and sips Schlitz. Now, because this is a family show, I'm not going to say it 3 times fast, because I'm going to get into trouble. But let me tell you why I want to feature this. Not only because I love seeing other entrepreneurs doing remarkable stuff, but there's always something to learn. If you notice, friends, it's Stanley's Gourmet. He says gourmet, okay, right? Gourmet. Now, I'm going to go to the next slide here, and I want you to see what his number one selling item is, which is what earned him a spot on Andrew Zimmern's show. Now, friends, this is a soft, wow, I can't even say it, a soft shell crab with bacon hero sandwich, whatever you want to call it, sandwich. Okay, now, friends, I ask you, does this is all due respect to Mike, who created this, and he made it fresh for me. My mouth is watering as I talk about this and look at this picture because I devoured it. Kimberly and I devoured it. Is this gourmet? He calls this gourmet. Do you call this gourmet? Or do you call it something entirely different? Obviously, it's pure decadence, serious decadence. And if any of you know me and know me for years really well, my wife and I, we eat clean. We eat real food. So for us to eat something like this, fried stuff, it's that 90-10. This is the weekend stuff, the 10% that we love. We eat great. The 90% of the food we eat is great, but this is 10. But my point is, do you call this gourmet? And why am I asking you this question? Because some of you might say, oh yeah, that's gourmet. But what if I showed you, I don't know, a filet mignon or a lobster or something, a risotto, something that somebody else would classify as gourmet. And they would look at this and say, no, that's food truck food. So when we use the word luxury, here's the connection. Here's the synapse. When we use the word luxury, when we talk about an experience, travel, when we use it to describe a stateroom or a resort or a restaurant, just think that word luxury is no different than the word gourmet. It's in the eye of the beholder, right? So I want to bring to your attention that the variables could be so enormous, so huge, you got to be careful when you use the word luxury. You need to, in fact, I would say don't even use the word luxury anymore. Train yourself to talk about the experience itself. And even before you do that, get to know how your client defines gourmet. How does your client define luxury? Then you can speak their language. Erin, who's a new boot camper, she posted in our boot camp group about qualifying, because in boot camp I have a document that lists 100 questions of things you can ask a prospective customer, prospective guest of yours. What questions to ask to qualify. And one of the simplest ways to understand how a client that you don't know very well defines luxury is, where have you stayed in the past? What hotels do you stay at? What kind of cars do you rent? What kind of ships have you been on? What is your idea of the most luxurious day look like to you? And some may say a four-handed massage, a spa treatment is luxury. And some may say a soft shell crab with bacon sandwich out on the lawn watching a free concert. So make sure you get that defined. Okay, I just had to share that so we can learn from that. Okay, let me see some other questions here. Jenny said, thanks for the handout. Yeah, so let me bring to your attention, there is a handout there free for you, whether you're at boot camp or not, take it. I've actually offered this before. It's my 40 greatest pickup lines. I know what you're thinking, and you're wrong. It's not about picking up somebody, in the dating scene. Stop that. Where are you going with this, Stuart? It's about picking up a new client. It's about starting a conversation. It's about making a new friend, right? Because you can't influence anybody until you've made a friend. And so it has a list of about 40 lines that maybe you can use, something you're comfortable with, that you can use to start a conversation with somebody and direct it towards travel, vacations, incentive groups, whatever. So download it, keep it, own it, enjoy it, use it. Tell me what works for you. Judy's in the house. Welcome, Judy from Travel 2. I'm glad that you're here. Shauna is here as a guest. Welcome, Shauna. I appreciate it. Hazel's in the house. You are welcome for being invited here, but you showed up. You know what Woody Allen said a long time ago? He said 80% of success is showing up. So more power to you. Good morning, Ramona. She says good morning to everybody. Kyle's in the house. Good morning, Kyle. Welcome. Dan is here. Welcome, Dan. Yeah, so yes, Jenny, you saw this on my Facebook post of the food truck. Exactly. And and she said she was just trying to say that tagline. It's a great tagline because you see, this guy Mike, he's very smart. He gets people talking. What are you doing to get people talking about your business? You know, Mike has a food truck. There are, I don't know, 10,000 food trucks in the country. Certainly there's hundreds of food trucks here in Memphis. Hundreds. Maybe I'm exaggerating. But how do you get your food truck to stand out? How do you get your travel business to stand out? What are you doing differently? What are you doing to be remarkable, to be noteworthy, right? Hey, Scott's in the house. Welcome, Scott. Good morning. Everyone's posting. Thank you so much, everybody, for posting greetings. It's awesome. I always go back and I read stuff. So if I don't address you by name, just know that I do go back and I read stuff. Dawn's here. Dawn said, "Hi, Stuart. I learned something new about you today. I thought you were vegan. More about clean eats. Someday, let's talk about clean eats and travel." You got it, Dawn. I don't classify myself as anything, just so you know. Although my wife would differ with that. She would classify me as slightly nuts, slightly crazy, a little bit out there. But that's not what we're talking about. Food-wise, I'm not vegetarian. I'm not vegan. I'm not keto. I'm not Mediterranean. I eat well. I only good stuff goes here. Nothing out of a box, nothing out of a can. I eat clean. I also eat organic. Yes, I spend a couple extra pennies on organic food because I much rather off, my wife and I will much rather off spending that money up front than later on. Because later on, it could be you're spending money, God forbid, you know, with meds and drugs and all kinds of crazy stuff. We don't want to do that. We don't want to be there. So that's the lifestyle. We say it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle, Dawn. So yes, let's you and I talk. Okay. So let me start off with Dan here. And then we're going to get to our questions, and I got some announcements. I have a very, very, very big announcement to make, friends. Hey, Dan, boot camper Dan, missionary groups. I've been asked by a BNI member of mine and never did one before or know if it's something worth pursuing. Any thoughts? So I'm going to ask this question to the group. Have any of you ever done a mission group? Okay, a mission group. My daughter went on a mission group through school. She was training to be a PA at the time, physician assistant, which she is now, and she did a mission trip in South America. And so I can only tell you that I'm keenly aware of these trips. I have never had anyone in my boot camp or in my experience do this. Isn't this interesting? And I don't know the level of profitability, Dan, if that's what it's about. What I can tell you is this, is that so many church groups and synagogues sponsor these, one or two or three or four, depending on we have several mega churches here in Memphis, and they have them going regularly to Peru, to all over the world. So the question is, are you going to be doing it for philanthropic reasons, Dan? And it's not about any profit. It is, you know, the whole opportunity here is a give back, is a good thing. You want to cover your costs naturally, I would imagine, or is it a profitable thing? This is a great question. I don't know. I want to be able to answer you, Dan, but I've not met an agency who specialized in this. I don't know if there are specific organizations that only do this, a travel company that does these arrangements, but I can go back and look at how my daughter booked hers, and we can learn, we can share, and come back together. But these are great. This is a great opportunity to explore on your own and together. And I'm going to jump ahead to see if anybody else has done this. Dan said, Oh, thank you, Dan. Dan said, "Don't all wives classify their husbands as crazy?" Well, I would imagine so. Then I'm just, then there's nothing special. I'm just as crazy as the next guy. That's so funny. So Dan said, profitability wise, yeah. And Jenny said, no profitability in mission trips. So there's Jenny sharing her perspective on a mission trip, that there's no profitability. Dorothy says, here we go. I did a few for an established group, and that I took care of all the travel details. They went for a month yearly, though I did not accompany the group. The group leader came to me with specifics on dates, where and when, what they would be doing, but I only took care of the travel details. Was great for return business. So there's two perspectives. Jenny and Dorothy, thank you for sharing. Dan, I hope you heard that, which is in Jenny's experience, it's not not necessarily profitable. And Dorothy's experience, she was strictly set up the travel, but they arrange everything that happens on the ground when they get there, and that makes sense to me too. So it's interesting. Let's see if we get any other comments, and I'll do my research at my end and see what I can learn, see if I can help you out, Dan. Hey, Ruth's in the house. Welcome, Ruth. Nancy said, hey, Stuart, just sent an image of my booth at the North Atlantic Blues Festival if you want to mention it or show it. Well, it came through on Facebook. I don't think I can get it in time, but I will show it next time, Nancy. And by the way, I have a couple of congratulations in order. Congratulations to you, Nancy, at Adventure Marketplace. You got that group. You had sent this to me to kind of give it a look over your proposal. And this is a motor coach group, right, Nancy? So congratulations, you got it. They signed. You nailed another group. Nancy's business is booming. And I'm on your email list, Nancy, so I get to see all the stuff you send out. And it's so exciting to see that you are in so many pictures. You take pictures with, you travel with these people. They get to know you. They get to love you. Let's see. Okay, so I want to congratulate you, Nancy. Also, I want to congratulate Scott Bootcamper from Dream Vacations. You nailed, and I say nail in a great, loving, beautiful way. You got it. You worked hard for this. I know this. With 2020, you're going to be doing a celebrity chef cruise on Princess, right? And you're going to be doing this with your wife, Jill. You're going to be setting up culinary demonstrations and a meet and greet and a culinary cook-off. Congratulations to you, Scott and Jill. You're in business together doing this, and you're working on exclusive group excursions for the group, which is music to my ears, right, friends? Look, if you're just a guest here, let me just make sure you know something I mention on every single Power Hour. Friends, you cannot be selling, to be successful in groups, you can't be selling the off-the-shelf, bare bones, stripped down product. You can't. You will not be successful. They will shop you till they drop you, and they're going to say, why on earth do I need you if I can buy the same product online? Click, 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 done. You need to create a special experience, a whole unique experience, and you're going to charge more than everybody else because you've built it all in. And that's what Scott is doing with his wife. They're going to create with Jill a special experience they can only get through this agency, through this Dream Vacations agency. This is great stuff. Congratulations. I also want to do a shout out to Karen. Are you here? Karen at South Lake Travel. Okay, Karen actually has been doing presentations. How many of you are doing presentations? Are you bold enough? Are you courageous enough to do presentations? We talked about this a few weeks back because one of my clients, Travel Leaders Network, asked me to do a sunrise session at their national conference on how to give better presentations. And I was thrilled. I was thrilled because of all the gigs I do, friends, and I do lots of gigs a year. I'm blessed and I got a very busy second half of the year. Almost nobody asks me to teach speaking, how to be a better presenter, not how to be a keynote speaker, just how to stand up and make a good presentation. And they did, and it was very well received. And Karen made a note here. She said she forgot to ask at the end of all the people who were attending, what organizations and clubs do you belong to? So, so she says here, keep your antenna up, friends. So this is a great message for all of you, right? Make sure that if you're making a presentation or whoever you meet any day, every day, if you're using my pickup line document that's attached free for you, download it, keep it. Are you saying, what organizations and clubs do you belong to? Everybody belongs to some kind of an organization somewhere. Everybody does. And you just need to ask, because here she found out that her church choir, Karen said her church choir is going to Italy in 2 years. And now I don't know if this means it's an opportunity, Karen, for you to still book this, or if it's already done, it's booked, but now you know they travel. They didn't book it through you, potentially. I don't know this to be true. And friends, has this ever happened to you? You find out that an organization that you're a member of, that you just sort of take for granted, you never thought maybe they would ever travel, or you didn't know that they had ever traveled in the past, and it's an opportunity, you know, and they don't book through you, or maybe it's one of your clients, and you find out that they just got back from a group trip, and you're like, how come you didn't book through me? I thought I'm your agent. And what do they normally say? Well, I didn't know you book groups. I didn't know you can do this kind of thing. You don't want to make them feel guilty. That's the last thing you want to do. So Karen here is demonstrating something that I preach too, which is you need to ask, what organizations or clubs do you belong to? And of course, the biggest pickup line of all, to ask everybody to try to solicit group business and make new friends and to learn where they go, where they travel, is what big events are on your horizon? You guys have heard this before, right? What big events are on your horizon? You know, it's a great question to ask. Let me catch back up here and let me see if anybody has any additional questions, and I'm going to get back to the paperwork here. Oh, and then I'm going to make a big announcement. Hold on there. Everyone, by the way, is congratulating you, Scott, so congratulations. Dan said, hey, Scott, would you be willing to share information about the culinary group? So you guys are both at boot camp. You guys can connect through boot camp, or I'm happy to connect you. And Scott, Dan, I'll let you guys work it out. If you guys don't mind doing some best practice sharing, that would be super cool. It's what I love to see. It's what I love to hear. So here's the big announcement, friends. I just need to let you know, whether you're in boot camp or not, maybe you have bought the Group Sales Success Summit GSSS for keeps, but this is the big announcement. And the Dan, thank you, gave me your email address, and I will send that to Scott. I appreciate that. You guys can connect. So here's the big announcement that I hopefully some of you will love hearing this. If you are enrolled in any of the Travel Institute accreditation programs, CTA, CTC, CTE, I've got great news for you. Group Sales Bootcamp has been officially recognized, officially accredited. You will now earn 10 CEUs, continuing education units, through the Travel Institute. This is a big deal for me, friends. This is, I would hope, a big deal for you too if you're involved in their awesome certification program. And I know so many of you are. I know, Nancy, you're a CTC. I just happen to have that written here. This is a big deal. So here's the deal. If you're in Group Sales Bootcamp, I will be communicating information to you shortly about how you can claim your 10 CEUs for being in Bootcamp. Also, that includes Group Sales Success Summit, because as a Bootcamp member, that's included in Bootcamp. Now, if you're not in Bootcamp, friends, if you're here as a guest today, or if you're watching this as a podcast and you have purchased GSSS 1 or GSSS 2 for keeps, you can get CEU credits for that. So I'm going to stand up. I'm going to do the happy dance. If you're not, I will do it for you, because this, you know, even though we all know, thankfully, that the stuff that's going on in Group Sales Success Summit Bootcamp are effective, they work, and these aren't my words, these are your words. you know, the stuff that we talk about here really works. This is new stuff, you know, new methods how to be more successful selling groups and sourcing groups and managing groups. Man, isn't it nice to get that validation that my stuff here, the stuff you're learning is fully qualified and now accredited by the Travel Institute. So I am enormously grateful to Patty and Gita and the whole team there and Carla for that recognition. And information is coming out soon about how you can claim that. Okay, there we go. Let me see if we have any more comments or questions. Oh, Dorothy said, I do presentations for prospective cruise groups. So many people do not have a clear idea of what cruising is. It's not a ferry. So this service is a great intro to cruising to open a few eyes. As well, though, I invite those who have already booked onto the cruise that I wish to highlight to generate extra excitement and hopefully result in a few additions to the group. A fun event for those who attend, including me. So are you hearing what I'm saying here, what Dorothy has shared? Dorothy, I appreciate this. So you do presentations about cruising. And some people in the audience have already booked onto cruises that possibly through you or possibly through somebody else. And you still do it. You still invite them. And they still come. Hear this, everybody. Dorothy's got people in the audience, some who don't get cruising, don't understand it, but she's not selling anything other than information. You will leave this room a different person than when you came in because now you're going to understand. Whether you want to go on a cruise or not, well, that's your decision after you hear what cruising is all about. You know, we're in the business and we tend to believe we kind of get convinced that, my goodness, by now everybody knows what goes on a cruise and everybody knows if they want to cruise one day or not. It's not true. There are still misconceptions, misperceptions out there. So even something as basic, and I use the word basic with an asterisk, because what's basic to us is not basic to people out there. They already may have cruised or booked it, but they still want to sit through a presentation. Now, each and every one of you have experienced different travel adventures that you may want to share with people. And if that's the case, then why don't you do it? Get up in front of people and make a presentation. All right, let me see
Stuart,
here.
Marv here. Stuart, Marv here.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a pause for just a moment. I put out an invitation to my good friend, my Goomba, my mentor, Mike Marshev. Please welcome Mike. Welcome to the Power Hour, Mike.
Hey, Stuart. Sorry I bumped in the mid sentence. I'm sitting in a corner park in the middle of Cooperstown, New York, of all places. And when I received your call, my phone didn't work, but here I am. So let me ask you this: why am I calling you? Why am I here? Why am I here?
We're gonna have a conversation about anything because people like listening in, you know, saying, "Oh, what are they going to talk about?" No, hey friends, let me tell you why I asked Mike to dial in. And the reason why I asked Mike to dial in, and this is going to be a short call but there's a lesson. There's a lesson. So, Mike, last week. Oh no, it wasn't last week. Yes, it was last week.
Yeah, last week. Yeah.
You promoted the daylights out of a special interview with the avid cruiser, right? Avid cruiser.
Yes.
And you used a new product called Zoom. You had been using GoToWebinar, and you had. Well, I don't want to steal your thunder, but let me just give everyone the headline, friends. Mike has been in the business a couple of years. He's done a bazillion presentations, and every once in a while things go wrong. I thought it would be special to hear directly from Mike. How do you handle? You know, what happened and how do you handle it as everyone has such high expectations of me, of you? What happened and how did you handle it to keep face, to keep peace, and to keep motoring on despite something that failed? Because, friends, it didn't work. It didn't work. You got it. Tell us, teach us.
Yeah. Well, I called up Ralph Grizzle, as you mentioned, the avid cruiser who was on the Ama Magna with Samantha Brown. She's the godmother of the vessel. And I was so pleased that Ralph said, sure, he'd take time and talk with me so I could interview him fresh off the Alma Magna. And as you mentioned, I promoted it heavily. I had recently changed over to a new software, which made me a little bit nervous. And I called up I think, Stuart, you and I did a dry run the day before, as a matter of fact.
We did.
And I called up the salesperson, and I thought I had all my ducks in a row. And it became showtime, and there's 250 people registered for this. And what made it a little more dicey was that I was including kind of Ama Waterways, which is a big outfit. It wasn't just a Mike show; it was Ralph and Ama, and it was a big deal.
Yeah.
So it got to be 15 minutes before Ralph got on the line. I was speaking with him, and I didn't see any participants. And usually you get 10 and 15, and they start dwindling in about 15 minutes before.
Right.
So I started getting nervous, and it got to be 4 o'clock straight up, and zero participants, zero. So I knew something was up. Something was up that I didn't know what it was, but I certainly didn't want to go to town and find out because I thought I'd screw everything up. So I hit the record button, thinking that if I recorded it, then I could send the recording to everybody, and that would save me.
Okay.
So Ralph and I went through our program. And like we had 1,000 people on board, we did our things. I hung up, and I realized I didn't have the recording.
Yeah.
So, and all of a sudden the emails were starting to fly in. All of a sudden the agent started saying, "Mike, it says we're on hold. We're waiting. It's been 20 minutes. We're waiting." And this was in my mind, a small disaster. No one got killed, but it was a disaster, and it was embarrassing. And Ralph was on it. It was tough for me.
Yeah.
Now, here's what happened. I immediately sent them out an email explaining to them that something went wrong and we will make up for it. Okay, bing, we'll just make up for it. And then the next day I found the recording. So I sent everybody the recording. So everybody did get the actual recording. But here's the message. Here's the message that I learned, that a lot of agents, most agents, 99% of the agents said, hey, stuff happens. And the way you handled it was ideal. Perfect, they said. In other words, I responded. I took the hit. It was my fault. I took the blame. I didn't point any fingers, and I said, we'll make up for this. And I think the message to agents is that when you come across a problem that's your fault or not your fault, who cares? It's the way you spring into action immediately on addressing the problem, acknowledging the problem, and then fixing the problem. And as the old saying goes, we don't care whose fault it was. Let's fix it, and tomorrow we can decide never to do it again. But the message is that professionals don't get flustered. They they fix it. They address it, and they say, okay, this is a problem. Now, I was very happy that I didn't charge for this, because if I had charged for this, then people would have been really upset. But again, don't worry. I will make good. I will fix this. And then you fix it. And hopefully you give them more than they expected. But there was the message. Now, let me tell you what happened. I found out later that I was in rehearsal mode. And very clearly on the screen it said, no one will be able to join until you hit broadcast. And I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what it meant. If I had hit broadcast, everything would have run smoothly. So I learned from it for next time, and I'll probably learn some more next time. But the message, Stuart, and then let you get back to your program, is that it's how you respond to the unexpected that's going to position you as the go-to source moving forward. There it is. And you're a professional. You've seen it all. You've tasted it all. You've witnessed it all. You've been embarrassed many times. But how you respond to this day is going to help you grow your business moving forward. I think that's the message that I learned.
Yeah, that's good stuff, Mike. I appreciate you sharing that, and I knew that you would have no qualms, no hesitation coming on and talking about this, because I know you felt terrible, and when things go wrong like that, it's upsetting, because you delivered that product free. It was a free service, and but you recovered from it. And in my loyalty book, there's a chapter called "If You Mess Up, Fess Up." And the quicker you
Yeah.
can come and say, everybody, hey, look, here's what happened. We're moving on. And I believe agents too, and then I'll let you go, Mike. Just one more thing. Agents, I've seen, we had these discussions before about if you screw up, if you mess up. Now, I realize sometimes your mess ups could be costly. You got to put some money out of pocket, fix it. Okay, I get that. The bottom line is the quicker you address it, the quicker you step up and say, I messed up, I screwed up, I didn't push this button, I forgot to sign this paper, or whatever it is, your level of respect, actually, you can leverage that. Not that you would want it to happen, but you can leverage that into people who will be so loyal to you for life because you're authentic. People screw up.
Yeah. Right. And if Stuart, I want to quote General Schwarzkopf from years ago.
Yeah.
One of his famous quotes is, "Everything I learned in the United States military, I learned from screwing it up the first time." And I think your agents online, your followers are savvy enough and astute enough to realize that every time you want to deliver a message from a screw up, that you call me. Okay, they're on to you, Stuart. That you call me and say, "Okay, Mike, you take the screw ups. I'll tell them what went good, and you take the hits." So I want to appreciate that. They're all on to you, Stuart. That you're using me. I know you're using me. It's okay.
I am.
And nobody screwed up more than I did. I trust me, but I still haven't missed a meal in a couple of years, so life is good.
Yeah. There, you haven't missed a meal. So, hey, everybody, we're going to let Mike go. Before he goes, just keep on the lookout. Mike and I are going to start a short series of podcasts as we are both reading the book Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson.
Right.
So kind of letting the cat out of the bag here, Mike, but we're going to jump on a call unrehearsed. We have no idea what we're going to talk about, but as we go through the chapters, how the information that he shares is inspiring our individual businesses, and how we're going to sort of also mentor and coach each other about some new launches that we're both planning. So be on the lookout for that. It's going to come out under the Solopreneur Network brand. Hey, Mike, I'll let you go. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you sharing.
Hey, a pleasure. Bye, everybody. Have a great summer. Talk to you later, Stuart. Bye.
Bye. Dan, I appreciate that comment that says own your screw up. You just got to do it. You got to do it. All right, let me catch up here. So I'm glad Mike joined us because, things go wrong sometimes. And not going to reiterate other than it all happens to us. And sometimes that's the people are watching. And that's a quality of a leader. A great leadership quality is stepping up and showing that you're not going to go in automatically into defensive or offensive mode, right? That you humble yourself, you apologize, whatever you need to do, and your leadership on the leader meter, you go up on the leader meter. So I got some comments here coming in about the credits. Congratulations to you, Hans. You recently got your CTC, so good deal. That'll be helpful. Thank you, Jenny, for congratulating me and Dawn on the achievement. And listen, it happened because of all of you. You are supporting boot camp. You believe in the methods, the strategies, and we're over 4 years in and going strong. Thank you, Scott, for your congratulations. Dan said, awesome sauce. Meeting the grade, you got it. I'm very happy. Ramona said it's an exciting announcement. Congratulations, and Ramona, you're a CTA working on a CTC. Good stuff. Okay, let me come in here with this question here. Nancy has 3 questions. So everyone tune in from Adventure Marketplace. Hey, listen, friends. What do you say when someone says they want to work for you? What do you say when they say, "Hey, when I retire, I want to come work for you," or "I'd be really good at doing this," and they just want to come work for you. So the first thing, have any of you ever experienced that? So what that tells me, Nancy, right off the bat, friends, is that that you're a great influencer. You're a great leader. We just talked about leadership. We just talked about that. When you're a leader, that means people are following you. And whether they really mean they want to come literally work for you or not is besides the point. The point is that you're a good influencer. You're well respected. People are emulating your actions, your behaviors, and that's a good thing. That's a beautiful thing. Don't we want that? And you know, friends, I believe in when I go out and I do my speaking gigs, I preach what's called servant leadership. There are about 9 or so identified leadership styles. Do you know what servant leadership is? Do you know what that looks like? I just gave this speech recently to a keynote on leadership, how to up your leadership. No matter what position you're in, whether you're the owner of the agency or not, you have to be a leader, or else how will you get a consumer, a prospect to follow you? You still have to be a leader, at least in your industry. You have to be believable. You have to be respected. You have to be uh, uh, remarkable. We talked about Mike there, who owned the Stanley food truck. Wherever his food truck, people go because they want to eat his food, because they like him and they like his food. So the bottom line is, Nancy, whether they're an opportunity to become an independent consultant for you, an IC, I would just show great gratitude and humbleness that somebody is impressed by you and your leadership style. And you are a magnet, Nancy, a beacon. Isn't it beautiful, friends, to be a beacon and give light to others? Shouldn't that be a goal of all of us, to be a positive, loving, joyful beacon? And if we live our lifestyle like that, then could you imagine what it does to our business? Because you all know what Zig Ziglar and all the rest of them say: to get everything in life you want, you help others get what they want. And the only way you can do that is if you're believable, if you're remarkable, if you're trusted, if you are a positive influence, if you're a servant leader. So, maybe they can become an independent consultant, maybe not. I don't know if anybody may head the. So Kyle said, I have experienced it. So you have experienced it too. I bet you so many of you have. So Hazel, you want to know the name of the author? The name of the author from that book, Russell Brunson, Expert Secrets. That's that book. More information coming on that shortly. The second question is saying no. So listen, everybody. Nancy wants to know, how do you say no or let people down easy? For example, a client or friend books a safari elsewhere. Listen, everybody, this is a great question. Somebody books, in her case, a safari elsewhere, but asks for your help with air or insurance or pre or post packages. What do you do? What do you say, friends? Do you have that? Somebody books something online and then they come to you for help. How do you handle that? So I have this as a business coach, as an influencer. People come to me and they say, hey, could you read this over? Could you look at this? And they've never bought any of my products ever. What do I do in that case? Before I give you my answer, what do you do, friends? What do you do? And this must happen all the time to you. You're in a business where people that should be afraid to book it independently, right? They should be petrified to book it on their own. Because remember what your role is, what your job is. And if somebody comes to you and says, hey, could you look this over? I know you're in the business, but I booked it myself. What do you do? What do you say? I'm going to read your comments here out loud so everyone can hear everybody's comments. But for friends, if you're just a guest here, if you're new to boot camp, let me make sure you hear this. Maybe it's for the first time, but your role in this business is really simple. Has nothing to do with travel. Number one, you guys know this, right? Hans and Nancy and Scott and Kyle, you've heard me say this a million times, so you should memorize this and tell people this. Your job, number one, is to reduce stress and risk. Number two, add value and convenience. And number three, transform the entire experience from good to great. I dare you, I challenge you to say this to people, whether they have booked with you or not. That's your job. Reduce stress and risk, add value, convenience, transform the entire experience from good to great. because people should be petrified to do it on their own. So I want to read your answers before I give you my answer of how I handle this when people come to me seeking help and people come to you seeking help when maybe they've never bought from you before. Okay. Dan said on mute or off mute, on mute. That wait. I don't know what you mean, Dan. Help me here. It depends on the individual couple. Oh, do you want me to mute you? You want to talk, Dan? I can unmute your phone. Is that what you're saying? And hey, nobody else is sharing your experience. What do you tell people? Or maybe you're busy typing away. Oh, Dan, no microphone. Okay. So let me tell you what I say. I'm going to give you two answers. And then we're going to go to the next question about time management. Number one, early in my career, when I became independent and I was on my own in business, and I knew I had to provide my own paycheck, is that you? Are you responsible for putting food on the table, for keeping the lights on? Are you responsible for it? It's an enormous responsibility. And you're just starting off, and every single dollar is more important than ever before. And people would come to me. I started off being hesitant. I would be reluctant to do free stuff, to give out free advice, because I felt, now wait a minute, if I give it to you free, you won't value my expertise. You won't value me and won't pay me the next time. And I didn't make many friends that way. I realized that after a while wasn't the best way to go, because they would hang up the phone or they'd walk away and they'd be disappointed and say, boy, he's not a nice guy. And they didn't get the fact that my knowledge is my intellectual knowledge, or whatever, my coaching. That's what I have to sell. I'm not selling coffee mugs. Okay, I'm selling what's in here. And the problem was, no, I'm really selling what's in here. You know, I want to be that leader, that influencer, as we tie everything together. And I made a decision that I shouldn't be stingy. I shouldn't be selfish. I need to be generous. I need to be selfless. No, I didn't start to give away everything free. I started to give away just enough information, inspiration, that they felt great, that they said, thank you. I left a mark. I made an impression, so that when they hung up the phone or when they walked away, they said, well, he's a good guy. He gave me 3 tips that I didn't know. Now, maybe I didn't give them 10 tips, or I didn't give them the handout, but I gave them information that they used and they were grateful for, and they remembered me, and sometimes they'd come back and buy my products or services. Sometimes they didn't, but they bragged about me. Are you hearing what I'm saying? They bragged about, oh, that guy Cohen, he's an all right guy. He gave me this information. He sent me this video. He gave me this PDF. He reviewed a document for me, and I've never paid the guy a penny. He's a good guy. And maybe somebody they bragged to about me, told somebody who told somebody. Next thing you know, I'm doing a keynote for their company. I'm making a speech for them. They bought GSSS for keeps. They're in boot camp, whatever. They bought my book. So friends, and this coming back to you, Nancy, I would do this on a measured basis. I would do this very measured. I would try not to say no, which is, of course, our knee-jerk reaction. Hey, you didn't buy this for me. It's not my responsibility. We can't do that, because even though that's what we'd want to say, that's a head decision. We need to make a heart decision, and we need to think fast, think on our feet, big smile, and say, you know what? I'd be happy to give it a real quick look over, but and no buts, because I just said the word but. Okay, that's not what you follow what I'm saying. I'd be happy to give a quick cursory glance. This is what I do. This is my business. All of my clients, I help them add value, convenience, reduce stress and risk, transform the experience. So sure, I'll give it an overview. What can you do? What can you give back that's showing you're being selfless? Because that's what servant leadership is, isn't it? Servant leadership is helping others. It's helping others to achieve success, whether they're working for you or they're a potential client. You know, think of these. I do GSSS. The summit's free. I've had thousands of people watch it, free, and the people who need it will buy it. They own it. I'm happy with that. Other people may not. In my early days, I would have never done that free. But look what it's done. I've built my list of followers. Now for my next summit, it'll be even bigger. And I know the people who need it will buy it. And if they don't need it, they won't buy it. And they'll get as much as they can free in that limited window. And it makes me feel great. So make that transition and set boundaries, of course, and do my 15-minute meeting thing, you know. I don't do one-on-one coaching anymore. It's extremely lucrative. I don't have time. So if I have somebody and they need a piece of me, we'll try to keep it in a time frame, because I feel good about giving, because when you give, it comes back to you some other way. So tell me if that makes any sound. Wait, a mute. Wait, so you can hear me or cannot hear me? Are we okay here? I have some people said there's no sound. So tell me, can you hear me now before I keep going on? I'm good. Thank you. So we had a little bit of a technical drop off there. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Dorothy. So let me go here and say, Kyle said, here's what Kyle says. I ask a few questions to see if I could take over the booking or if I want to. If not, then I would give them a brief response, and then I'd say the other agent has more knowledge about your booking and should be able to answer those questions. So Kyle has his own strategy. And so basically you'll answer a little bit, a brief answer, and you'll say, go back and check with your agent. They should be handling, and here's what to ask them, right, Kyle? So when you go back to your agent friend, here's what to ask them. A, is this covered? B, do you have this built in? C, is the insurance going to take care of that? And C, blah, blah, blah. Wow. Isn't that good stuff? Because they're going to go back to that agent, and boy, that agent's going to be on their toes now, isn't it? That agent's going to be on their toes now saying, well, who are you talking to? Well, I'm talking to my friend Kyle over here. He's an agent also. And that agent's either going to step up, all right, and grow into the role that they're not, apparently not fulfilling, or they're going to get all, envious and jealous. And that client is probably going to end up coming back to you to book, Kyle, because you listed 10 things. They make sure go back and ask other agents. So you're telling them what questions to ask versus you giving them all the answers. Pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool stuff. All right, so Dawn says you hear me now. And Kyle says, great stuff, put the other agent on the spot. Yeah. So Nancy says, Nancy, who originated this question, the Safari client friend has done this before. She booked a Cork expedition and did do the air, air and the pre-post. And this time she hasn't told me she booked direct. Two other friends happened to mention it to me. So I want to give everybody, this is important, and then I want to give you another announcement. So stick around, which is, wouldn't it be great if we can get every booking from everybody? Wouldn't it be great if I could get every speaking gig? I mean, there are a couple of organizations in the travel industry, and we're a small industry, relatively speaking, that I just can't get a gig. I was trying so hard. I'll tell you, I'll tell you straight out, so hard to finally get a gig with the Apple Leisure Group, the new Apple Leisure Group. I came so close to having a big event in August, and nope, didn't work out. Whatever, I'm not going to give you the reasons, okay? And I've been trying for years to get into Virtuoso to get a gig there, and so just like you, maybe you have a company, an organization, a group you're trying to get in, they haven't hired you yet. I do the same thing, and I had to walk away with a smile. I had to walk away and realize that I can't have every client, I can't have every account. But I'm going to stay in second place, right, Nancy? I'm going to stay second on the list. So even though Apple Leisure Group, they didn't hire me, I still sent the thank you note. Thanks for the conversations. Thanks for considering me. And I keep in touch with the folks at Virtuos. I keep in touch with organizations that still don't hire me because I want to leave a good impression, And I learned this from Mike Marcia. Here's what you say. Hey, listen, if something should fall through, I'm your guy. I can step in. I can help you out. That kind of stuff. And you could say the same thing. Hey, listen, if something should fall through, here's my number. Give me a call. I'd love to help. So we can't have it. And the other part to this is friends, is that, oh wait, I see some comments here. Okay, Dan's confirmed you can hear me. Oh, and then Kyle says, yeah, you could fire your client too. If you have a client who is just outside of your love circle, there's no better feeling in firing a client. You know what I mean? But oh yeah, here's what I was going to say. We all, so many of us think that our family, they know us, they love us, they come to our homes, they sit in our kitchens, they eat our food, we go to their homes, they cook for us, and they don't book with us. I say forget family. And if you heard me say this before, because if you push too hard, you don't want to make an awkward, uncomfortable situation, because let me tell you why they're probably not booking with you. But they still may use you for your information, which I think is fine. They're family. Come on, help them out. Help them out. If they're good people, of course. But you want to be more generous. Never come down to their level. You always want to be the best dressed and the most generous in the room. That's what I always say. But family may feel awkward that if they book with you and something gets messed up, they don't want it to upset the relationship. Let's not rock the boat. We don't want to mess up the family we have here. So we're going to book here. We love you. We're probably the best at in your game, but it's too uncomfortable. Just respect that it could be the case. Right. And Dan said also sometimes that if they cancel, if something goes wrong, if you're second in line, you can still get that piece of business. And Dan says families are the worst. Families are the worst. I get it. And so, well, I got a call from my sister-in-law. Hey, Stuart, could you do a keynote for our sales meeting in Texas? This is going back 2 years ago. And I said yes to that. I did. I was excited. And thankfully, I nailed it. I raised the roof for their sales meeting. But, they put you even under more pressure, as if there isn't enough pressure already to deliver phenomenally well. But for me, I love having everybody, the more people I know in the back of the house, close family, whatever, it's great for me. That doesn't make me nervous. All right. Let me just make this other bit. Oh, time management, Nancy. We've got a minute left. I think we're going to kick off time management on our August 6th Power Hour. How's that? Make sure you download the handout I'm giving you here, because Erin was looking for it in boot camp. I'm going to make sure what happened to the link that it's not there. Let me know if you're going to any of these events in September. I've got a Travel Leaders Network Sales Expo in Columbus, Ohio, and in St. Louis. So I'm going to be there for them in October. I am keynoting Nest. I don't know if you guys and gals know this, but I helped create that company. I put it together with the team over there at American Marketing Group. So I'm keynoting Nest Fest 2019 on the Eurodam. That's their 15th anniversary, so it's very exciting. I just got handed a gig on Dream Vacations Cruise One Cruises Inc. on Symphony of the Seas. Scott, are you going? You and Jill going? I don't know. Nobody may know this yet. But then I'm going to be in New Jersey in October for another sales expo, and in Seattle in December for another sales expo, and that's just in the travel industry. Hey, listen, it is just about time. I hope you found today to be interesting, to be inspiring, to be motivating. Let me know. I was glad Mike called in and shared that. I kicked off with a little note about that gourmet luxury thing to make sure that we don't use our definition of luxury gourmet. Make sure it's your clients. I see more comments are coming in. I promise I'll follow up with you individually for this. I'm glad you're here. Go help some people.